everyone. Before the video begins, I would love to ask if you would join me in donating to the Brain and Behavior Research Foundation for Mana's second year in a row. Donations of $10 or more will receive a sticker pack designed by the creator owners of Mana. That's me, Charlie, and Jimmy. I believe the Brain and Behavior Research Foundation is such an important cause. They award grants for scientific research to better understand, develop improved treatments for, and discovering methods of prevention for all kinds of things that go on in our brains. A lot of their grants go toward alleviating the suffering of those with mental illnesses such as depression and anxiety. I know this is a topic that has very personally affected so many of us, so I'm very glad to support their cause. Thank you so much for your consideration to donate. These stickers will be available until December 9th by clicking the link in the description box, or you can go to manatalentimpact.com. Now on with the video. Hello everybody, it's Gibi, and welcome to the third installment of my favorite series. I have a lot of tattoos. We're almost done. I will link part 1 and part 2 in the description box below, as well as the 2-part Q&A I did a while ago. I don't fully remember what I answered in those videos, but I know it was a lot of information, including like, why are you doing this? So if you want the answer to those questions, I will link the videos in the description. Today's video will be going over the 6 new tattoos I've gotten since our last installment, and we'll be doing a lot of just sort of like ASMR tracing and just rambling about them, I suppose. I'm very good at that. But yeah, thank you everyone who has followed along. Very long story short, my goal was to finish my 2 leg sleeves from like hips to ankles within 2 years. We have hit the 2-year mark, so I'm a little bit behind. I have a couple more to get, but let me show you how it's going. And thank you everyone who shared all of your tattoo stories in the comments and online with me since this journey started. It's been very, very fun to read all of those as well. So 99% of my tattoos are indeed on my legs. So I'll see you later. Let's get started. Alright, so we're starting kind of high up on my legs. You'll notice a couple of new tattoos pretty much immediately, but I'm going to go in chronological order of when I got them. So we're actually starting right here. This was done by Clown Collegiate, and it is not actually a media reference like a lot of my other tattoos. That's a half lie, you'll see in a minute. But this is a tattoo for my dearest, loveliest, you all know her and love her, Sav. Sav has appeared in many of my live streams and videos, and I knew that I wanted to get a tattoo with her, but we weren't sure what to get that would really represent not only our friendship but her in general. Also, I'm going to take my watch off, and I do want to note, I meant to say it a little bit ago, I'm not wearing my wedding rings because today it's because we just gave Satine a bath and I always put them away where they're safe. But I actually don't wear my wedding rings when I'm healing a tattoo because I have to wash my legs multiple times a day, and I really want it to be like as germ-free as possible, and then I like lotion it up. I don't like getting lotion on my rings, but I wanted to mention that the other day. No one's ever commented on it, but you know, also sometimes they're too loud for ASMR. I'm done. This is not a ring video. This is actually a gremlin version of Sav. And when I tell you it's a gremlin version of Sav, it really is. Clown Collegiate is an amazing artist, and what we did was actually send them a PowerPoint of our friendship. So eventually Sav will be getting a gremlin version of yours truly, and we actually have it drawn, but she's actually getting married and she wants the tattoo on her arm, and we both decided it would probably be best to not have Gremlin Me on her arm on her wedding day necessarily. So, you know, tattoos will last forever. You can hold off for a sec. What we did was send in a PowerPoint, and I tried to describe Sav, and I sent references, and maybe I'll even show you what I sent. I knew that I wanted Aries horns for her, as well as sort of like a little like jester theme. She looks very innocent and sleepy. We really wanted like dark circles. That was important for her to have the little feet. And so we were laughing when we were thinking about what we should get, and when we thought of this idea, it just felt very right, and that's when you kind of know. So when it was drawn on, we had like this kind of weird space, and obviously it just fits perfectly. I love how her wing extends down into here. And we kind of had this space right here, and I said, can we fill this? And I'm like, I really like how you do flowers. Can we do daffodils? And the reason that I picked daffodils is why it's kind of a lie that it's not a media-based tattoo. This actually is supposed to be a reference to the movie Big Fish. And in that movie, Ewan McGregor's character kind of like woos his wife with the whole like field of daffodils, and it's very romantic and cute. And Sav and I have a really, really good memory of watching Big Fish together in college. And I'd seen it before because it was like my life mission to watch every Ewan McGregor movie of all time. And that movie really makes me cry. And so we were watching it, and we were in my room because we had to watch it on my computer. So we were kind of like, Sav was like in front of me laying down on my bed, and I was like sitting behind, so I couldn't see her face. And we get to the end of the movie, and there's like, I'm trying to let her enjoy it. She'd never seen it before. I have just like tears streaming down my face, but like silently, you know? And so I can't really tell how she's reacting, but when the movie ends, she turns around and I can see her face, and she's a mess. And she just goes, like blubbers, and she's like, that was so good. And I was like, oh my god, I couldn't tell that you were crying the whole time, because same. But anyway, one of our funny memories. And so I decided to put that in with the daffodils. So this is Gremlin Sav. It was done in about, I want to say between 3 to 4 hours, maybe. Yeah. And we actually had a really fun trip going to get it as well. I really love this one. It makes me smile every time I see it, and you can't really ask for more than that. So, pretty good. I can't wait to see Gremlin Me. I'm much longer. The next one is conveniently right next door. A few months later. This is the tattoo that, if you have been following my tattoo videos in July, I kind of had like a whole bunch of vlogs and things. So honestly, I'll link those too, of course, because I actually vlogged the entire process of getting this tattoo. So a lot of the details are in that video. So I'll just concentrate on like the tracing part and give you like the very basics, because I'm sure if you've seen those videos, you actually know everything about this tattoo already. But you can see how it's been healing. It looks great. This was done by Yumi Tiger in Barcelona. And this is for another one of my very best, dearest friends. It is the Mad Hatter as my friend. And it's her favorite movie, as well as who she played when we were in Alice in Wonderland together as younger kids. So I wanted to do a Mad Hatter girl for her. I knew Yumi Tiger would be the perfect artist for this. And one of my ideas was that I wanted it to be upside down. And the reason I wanted it to be upside down was because it is tough when you start getting tattoos higher on your leg, because I don't really walk around too much in like high cut bodysuits, you know? So most of the time, if you're seeing my legs, it's because I'm wearing shorts. And shorts tend to cut off a lot of the upper part of your leg. So I didn't just want the bottom of the Mad Hatter. And so I was thinking, how would I get her face in there? Let's flip her upside down. It's Alice in Wonderland. It's perfect. So I asked for an upside down Mad Hatter with tea pouring the right side up. And Yumi is so creative. She knocked this out of the park. Once again, I gave her the most impossible shape to work with. So I sent her a whole bunch of pictures and video of my leg and measurements. So we have this shape over here. And that's where my Peach and Bowser and my Team Rocket are. And Yumi filled it with 2 little mushrooms and a tiny little cup with a little sprite in it. Can you see? The details are so fun. And then over here, this middle part obviously was most suited for the main part of the art. But then I have up here my Kurapika chain, the Nen chain that I got, gosh, I think like 2 years ago. And because of the chain pieces going down, we had these windows of space that I really needed to fill. So Yumi nailed it. Part of this little dress, it like looks like a butterfly wing. We have going over here, the rest of the dress here, and then up in here we start doing more of the tea. And the best part is that Yumi like knows so much about tea, so it was really fun to pick the artist for these pieces. There's the main teapot going down, 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 down. Up here we have Cuppy. I've named him. He's a little grumpy. He's got a tiny little face. Top comedy. And then over here, filling up the last window, we have 2 more mushrooms. 3 more mushrooms, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. 1, 2, 3. And Meg actually said, these are supposed to be like little horns. But Meg was like, if you look at this, like they're little arms being thrown into the air. I'm dead. So cute. So yeah, that piece kind of ended up like going all throughout the other pieces and like really bringing it all together. So it was very exciting. I was really hoping that I wasn't gonna have to like get a little tattoo right here just to fill this space, etc. So I really like how that turned out. That's kind of an understatement. There is the Mad Hatter from Yumi Tiger. We're going from the Mad Hatter over to the next new tattoo. And this was done by X and the Death. X and the Death. in Berlin, Germany. Let's take a closer look here. This one wraps around my leg, so I want to see where I should kind of angle it for you. But this is another tattoo that is for a very dear family member of mine, and not a media reference. So this is another kind of like custom art piece, and I'll give you like the short of it. There's like some more deeper details as to why we both wanted to do this kind of tattoo. She actually got one as well by a different artist who did it in her style that she likes. So it's like really cool. We both have like the same concept done by different artists. So this is actually a representation of an old Playmobil. And we used to play with dolls a lot. And at my house, I had this big Playmobil castle. When we would play together, oftentimes it was up in my room with the Playmobil castle. And there were reoccurring characters, of course. So two of the reoccurring characters were a princess and a prince. And these were like the only Playmobil where you could pop their heads off. Usually you can't. You can change their hair, but you can't pop their heads off like Lego. So narratively, we would like switch the heads of prince and princess all the time, and have princess like go undercover, like that, all kind of thing. We wanted to do, Satine just came in, there's dog hair all over my leg now, a princess wearing prince clothing. And this is actually a like replica of what the Playmobil is wearing, like this collar and everything. It's so cool. I love it. And so yeah, that is representative of her. X in the Death is an amazing artist. So personable and nice. I had a great time at the shop. And this went by so fast. I honestly can't even remember how long it took. I know a lot of people ask about like pain ratings for tattoos. All three of those that I just showed you, the Gremlin Sav, the Mad Hatter, and this one, very low on the pain scale for me. It seems like the tops of my legs, like the fronts of my legs, it doesn't feel as painful as the backs do. So you have a nice sword going up there, the shoulders, and then you see the hand. Oh my god, I love this hand. Coming down here. Like that. And right next to it, you can't miss it, coming right through, is the very next tattoo I got 2 days later. So I had this big open spot on my knee, and I knew it was going to need a very creative artist to fill that chunk. And I'm so pleased with how this one turned out. So I basically went right from this one in Berlin over to Warsaw in Poland. Took a train. It was a beautiful train. Ben had food poisoning, so it was not a great train ride for him, but I played a bunch of Animal Crossing and looked out the window, you know. It might be a little tricky to show this one. I obviously moisturized my legs before this, so I'm a little like shiny, especially. Look how empty this looks. Crazy. But when I stand normally, and then if you bend it, kind of goes like that. So it's hard to choose art for a kneecap because obviously you do a lot of bending. So it has to be something that won't like warp weirdly. So I figured doing calligraphy letters, and especially in a style where it's not supposed to be like incredibly legible. It's almost like a combination of calligraphy and almost like ornamental work. I figured that would be good. So I went to visit an artist named Chernozem, who was guesting at Oni Warsaw, which is a shop. I would get tattooed by every single artist in that shop. I wish I could have stayed for another week. But this one ended up being pretty fast, actually. And not bad. I know everyone asks about the knee. I think maybe because I was expecting it to be so bad, maybe. But honestly, it just really wasn't that bad. And because it was so dark, you do a lot of like packing, I guess. And so much like vibration from the tattoo machine on a place like your kneecap, which is so thin, it almost like started to go just like numb, I guess in a good way. And I don't know, I just like this one didn't really bother me that much. So hooray, I was nervous. This actually says, you probably can't tell unless I tell you, and then you'll be able to see it, because it's not a full word. It's 3 letters. It's F, 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 and look what he did. He put the F right through her fingers. Oh, impeccable, impeccable. F, 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 W, and then this here is a lowercase d, 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 F, W, D. So I wanted to get the word forward, but I asked if maybe we could just shorten it so that it would fit in this spot. And this is a reference to the anime Run with the Wind. There's a scene where this guy, who's not very good at running, he's worked really hard and he has to qualify with a really fast time. And so his teammates write forward, exclamation point, on his arm, and he like looks down to read it while he's running, and he qualifies. And I just really like that. And there was a time pretty recently where I've been doing some running myself, and once again, one of my dear family members, she's amazing at running, and I ran too in high school and stuff, but I was a sprinter. I couldn't even do the 800 meter warm-up, you know, and she like definitely was the reason that I was able to learn how to run distance and do something that I'm maybe not necessarily like good at right off the bat. I think sometimes I tend to not do things that I'm not quote quote good at, even though I might be interested in them. And so when I was watching Run with the Wind with Ray, This is a long story for a small tattoo. That's okay. Long story short, I love this tattoo. Shout out to Ray. Shout out to my amazing family. And I did actually run a race and get a PR with this tattoo. And I was running and I looked down at it and I was like, hee. And I ran faster. Thanks, tattoo. That's the long story short. So I was super stoked when this was finished because the entire front of my right leg was complete. I'll give you a little look-see at the end of everything. So the last two tattoos are both on my left calf. So I think I'm going to maybe sit down for this one. Okay, so this one is going to be pretty hard to show. Not as hard to show as the back of my leg. But I'm kind of sitting with my leg at an angle. And this was the last tattoo that I got in a row on this big trip in July. Once again, a lot of this was documented. But this is a Devilman Crybaby piece done by Devilman Tattoo in Krakow or Krakow, Poland, depending on my American accent. And this was a tattoo that I waited so long for. I was so happy to finally get it. And Ben I have gotten so lucky with my tattoo artists. And they have been so nice and cool. And somehow Ben was the nicest person I've ever met in my life. It's just one of those people, you know. I want to do a little bit of tracing on this, but I'll probably stand and you'll start to see the other tattoo that literally blends right in. If you have never seen this show, I would caution against it, honestly. It's not for everyone, but it was for me. This show was made for me. I love it. Seen it many times. And I really wanted to get a piece about it. So this Devilman here is actually the protagonist of the show. And Ben just did such a good job drawing them in their own way, you know? And one of the reasons that I knew I wanted to go and get this piece by Ben was because of how he draws wings. And this piece has both like the kind of bat, demony, leathery wings, as well as the feathery type wing. You can kind of see it actually goes all the way down to the top of my foot, and that is where like the other part of the feathery angel wing is. And I think it's just amazing because obviously I get my tattoos with only black and gray ink. So just the fact that he's able to pull off all of these different textures is amazing. So we have those like feathery wings and then sort of the fur from Akira's tail. And I actually had the tail come across here because this was like a bare bottom, and I was like, listen, I shouldn't on the front of my shin. We probably gotta cover that. So we did. I love it. So they're very much like entangled, so it's not, there's a lot of detail like going on in here. I love it so much. Once again, this obviously wraps a ton around my entire shin and calf. The wing up there, the horns. So when I extend my leg, you can see the back of the wing. And also my chicken. My little ASMR chicken, which I knew I wanted to have by the Devilman piece. Kind of balance it out, you know? So. I love any use of like negative space, and you'll see that a ton in the last piece I'll show you too. So when I go to the front here, and this is Rio from Devilman, this part here, right past the wing, that's actually part of my latest tattoo. So all of my tattoos you've seen really like kind of puzzle piece with each other. But this one, I think, is like the first one that literally blended into the neck. So I kind of have like a literal lower leg sleeve, but it's done by two artists. It's really, really amazing how it just goes right in. So this one's a really, really hard one to show. I'm excited to kind of like stand up and show it to you in context. But I am so happy with this one. It was 2 days of tattooing, and I would say it was my most painful tattoo, except the last tattoo, I think, took the cake. And once again, I believe it's because the back of my legs just really tend to be more painful than the front of my legs. So with this one, the very last part we did was the wing that I showed you, this one up here. And this part just really was not for me. And I remember when I did Levi on my other leg, that was also really painful. And yeah, by day 2 of this tattoo, getting this part done, and I just gotten 3 other tattoos, my body was like, no, you're done. So it was actually perfect timing. I was actually supposed to get one more tattoo on this trip, and it was probably for the best that I didn't. And that's actually something I wanted to mention very, very briefly, just because I know a lot of people have commented that like they have been inspired to get tattoos of their own after watching these, which really blows my mind. I feel a sense of responsibility. Just to also tell you about my other experiences. So I was supposed to get another really, really big piece during this trip, and I ended up not, and the artist and I just like were not on the same page. So I just wanted to say that, just so you know that like it's possible for you and an artist to not jive, even if their art is freaking amazing. I love this artist's work so much. Like I really wanted a piece from him, but we just weren't on the same page. I wasn't comfortable getting a tattoo from him, so we did end up canceling the appointment. But it was like a while before I actually went. It wasn't when I didn't like show up. Okay, some of my cousins and my uncle who has never seen my studio actually just showed up, and I just had to give them a little tour of the studio. So I don't remember what I was saying. I believe I was talking about just saying like, make sure that you are getting the tattoo that you want to have and that you feel safe and comfortable to get it, and advocate for yourself. I think one of my biggest tips is to bring someone with you if you think that you might be uncomfortable with speaking up, which sounds like, I mean that like very genuinely, because I think a lot of people, you know, they don't want to disrespect the artist, they don't want to offend anyone. So being able to speak up for yourself is of course like a very big deal when it comes to getting permanent art on your skin. So if you're like worried that you might not be able to say something, or you might be like influenced into agreeing to something that maybe you wouldn't really want, one thing that I can really say is to bring someone with you who does know what you want, so they can help advocate for you, help remind you, you know, and or ask you like, are you actually okay with this, etc. So that's my little tip of the day sprinkled in here. I'm stalling because I don't know I'm going to show my very last tattoo. I believe I will just, I don't know how much I'm going to be able to brush it. I'll try. I'm going to talk about it in a voiceover and show you the last part of it, and then we'll look at everything together. The end. Let's do it. All right, and here is my latest tattoo. It is quite a large one, as you can see. I'm going to have to kind of show it off in chunks, probably. And this was done by the incredible Monica Maluska at Aura Tattoo in Reykjavik, Iceland. Iceland is so unique. I've never been to a place like it. I loved my trip so much. And I just wanted to say, like, I'm sure you've seen, at least when I'm filming this, I've been following the news about all of the volcanic activity there. Like a whole city south of Reykjavik had to be evacuated while they're like seeing what's going on. Thinking about everyone there. I don't know if anyone watching this lives in Iceland or knows anyone there, but hope you're all doing well. If you can ever make a trip to Iceland, I really couldn't recommend it more. Just gorgeous, gorgeous place. I really enjoyed my trip. I was very excited, of course, to visit Monica because she has been on my list for a very long time. And this was finally the perfect tattoo for her art style. I was just like waiting, biding my time. So very excited to finally make that appointment. So as you can see, this is a tattoo of an kind of old storybook style elf. And she's surrounded by little fairies and a big moon all the way at the top. So it's this nightscape, beautiful fantasy fairy tale storybook design, and it's exactly what I wanted. This tattoo was actually a trip with my mom, which was really exciting. When I was in high school, she really did not want me to get tattoos. And honestly, that was fair, because when you are 18 and, you know, I knew that I was going to wait to get tattoos anyway. Ma, chill out, come on. But anyway, she's been really helpful with this entire tattoo journey. She's like helped me take pictures of my legs and things like that, and really appreciates the art, and she knows how much I love them. So I was like, Mom, I'm getting all these tattoos like for people that I love and with people. Come on, it's your turn. You gotta get one. She didn't get one, but she came with me, you know. And so we did. And she's actually always wanted to return to Iceland after she went as a really little kid. And so it was just like one of those things where it was just too perfect. I'm like, Mom, the artist that I want to do this piece is in Iceland. We're going. Just turned out so well. I basically told Monica that I wanted something that sort of embodied how much my mom loves fairy tales, elves, fantasy, and I wanted it to be kind of in like the storybook kind of art style because my mom read to me so much as a kid, and she very much sparked my early love for reading. I know you guys don't like see me as like an avid reader anymore because my intense interests and hobbies have like shifted a little bit, but I was a voracious reader as an annoying small child. So I just love how this like mother elf turned out. She looks so beautiful, and the night sky, it was very bold to do a night sky because that's my skin, you know? But it was so worth it because of the way that like sort of the negative space has the mother elf sort of stand out. I love like nightscapes in general in art a lot. But this puppy, this one tested my limits, but it was so worth it. Tattoos are one of those things where it's like, as soon as you're done, it's fine. So just, if you get through the process, it'll be fine. So we had 2 full days of tattooing. This was 13 hours. And I mean 13 hours. Monica is a beast. I mean that in a scary way and in a complimentary way. She never stopped tattooing, and she knew. She was like, we're gonna get this done in 2 days. This is a huge piece and it's gonna happen. And I'm like, all right, here we go. Pray for me. Once again, the very last part of the second day was the worst for me. Once again, probably because it already been many hours of tattooing, but also I think it's just this spot, the like higher part of my thigh. I remember it being pretty bad when I did my Attack on Titan people too, which makes me feel great about doing the rest of my thighs, but whatever. Doing all like the going back in so many times for all the small dots and detail and black. I was hanging on by a thread, dear reader, but I did it. I sat through it. She's like, oh, I was scared you were gonna like turn around and be like crying, and I'm like, no, that couldn't be me. Couldn't be me, Monica. I don't really say this to scare you. You can take breaks and stop if you need to. I just specifically was like, I just want to get this done. I'm here for 2 days. I know I will be fine as soon as it's finished. So that one takes the cake as my most painful tattoo. It's probably karma for how difficult I was as a small child for my mother. It all works out. It's very poetic, right? But it was kind of nice because my mom was with me. So it was fine. She took care of me back at home. But once, like I said, honestly, once I was finished, it was perfectly fine. Even the next day, I was like, yeah, feels pretty normal. Just like any other healing tattoo. And it's healed amazingly. I just love all of the details. I love how it looks from far away. I love how it looks close up. So I just like, I really could not be happier with the design and the execution. So there we go. The whole bottom part of my leg is complete. There is a lot of blank space near my knee that needs to be addressed rapidly, but I can show you how my legs look as a whole right now. The front thigh knee section, I know I'm probably going to get a keyblade there. I'm not sure what I'm going to literally do on my kneecap yet. And then it's basically, we see whether I finish the backs of my thighs or not right away, or if I just like wait a while. I don't really know. I'm definitely going to target the very visible portions first. So So that's it. You can see how all of my tattoos, they just like heal and blend very consistently. I'm very, very happy with how it's all turned out. So thank you so much to every single artist. That's, I believe, 21 tattoos, 21 artists so far. Once again, it just like, it's by far like one of the coolest things I never thought I would ever be able to do. So that's like kind of up there with this YouTube channel in general. And I definitely have this YouTube channel to thank for kind of like allowing this this life path to open up for me. It's been amazing. Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this tattoo tour. There'll be at least one more. And I'll see you then. Thank you so much for watching. I will put all of the artists' information in the description box. You should definitely check every single one of them out and give them love. I recommend every single one wholeheartedly. Alright. Good night, everybody. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for relaxing with me. If you are not a YouTube Premium member, remember to turn down your volume or turn off your device now to avoid potential post-video ads. Sleep well.